Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming. Before we start to the teaching, it is a good idea to check your motivation. As you know, this creates benefit for yourselves and for others. As Shandadewa said, whatever joy there is in this world, all comes from wanting others to be happy. Whatever suffering there is in this world, all comes from wanting only oneself to be happy. If you investigate, it's really true. So remember to begin with a positive attitude. Try to maintaining openness and kindness toward both yourself and others. And there is a very great potential in meditation practice, much more sort of deep and beneficial than just learning to focus the mind or just to learn some Buddhist teachings. There's more beneficial than that if you do it correctly. So remind yourself of the importance of to create the motivation to have an open heart. So we begin by chanting 3 times for a measurable prayer. That is because we are trying to correcting the motivation, and we are trying to bring sort of relaxation to both our body and mind through this profound sort of prayer. If the mind is undisturbed, we are then, easily become focused without distraction. And when you meditate, you need concentration, you need mindfulness, you need kindness, and you need openness, and so on and so forth. But for beginner sort of meditator, you need a lot of good sort of strategy and good methods. You just can't sort of force yourself to meditation. It's difficult to accomplish your meditation by force. And it's never worked that way, right? So you have to be very gentle with yourself You have to be comfortable with your meditation. You need to trust yourself. You have to be patient yourself. So you just can't force yourself, you need all these methods, and instructions. The masters say when you start meditate, be firmly concentrate, yet loosely relaxed. So that means not too tight, not too loose, really a middle way. So here, middle way means you have to avoid extremes, not too tight, not too loose. If you avoid these two extremes, you will discover that in finding this sort of comfortable balance, that is very important for Buddhist, especially beginners, meditators, this balance. There's no need to look for inner balance somewhere else, but find it right in the moment of your meditation. If you sort of have this good methods and instructions strategy, you will find it right there in your with meditation. And to have a good balance is important for Buddhist meditation. Balance is not only an achievement of something new, it's also the experience of something you already have sort of naturally, but you have to discover, you have to find it and develop it and make stronger with your practice. Lots of Buddhist, I think, beginners difficult to find good balance and little bit difficult to understand how to avoid these two extremes. Always, force themselves like, I have to do this. I have to focus on my meditation. I have to stop this thinking and thoughts. Meditation is not going to work that way. You have to find the balance, find the comfortable, and be gentle yourself, and all of that kind of thing. So important. You may discover that you can have a great meditation one day, and then next day will be terrible, right? That is normal. So, but people always have this expectation so that your meditation is not going well. You feel terrible. You feel you are a bad student or meditator. That's not true. So be forgiving and compassionate. Be patient toward yourself, okay? When you're meditating, just move on naturally. try to bring your concentration, focus sort of gently, whatever you meditate, back to the object, back to the sort of present, but be very gentle towards yourself, okay? Do not force yourself to meditation, Don't allow yourself to become a stubborn and self sort of critical. I heard this many times from individual students. If you do that, you are not going to develop your meditation. Meditation, you have to learn like gently and keep going, and less expectation. This is very different than you learn something like, for your life, worldly. And practicing the dharma is, teachers say, of course, in the beginning, difficult, difficult in the beginning. So you see, when you read these biographies of, a great meditators, masters, they begin with, like they all went through very difficult and especially beginning with hardship, right? But end with happiness. That's because of, then your mind flexible, then you control your mind, then your mind workable, So beginning hard, end happy. Because, why is beginning difficult? Um, we are talking here like hearing, contemplating, and meditating to develop experience and realizations. All of this require a lot of the effort, right? And diligence. Without effort, without diligence, nothing can be accomplished, right? So therefore, at the beginning, as ordinary people, difficult because there's not enough diligence, because you are very new to meditation, it's difficult. So therefore, as I said at the beginning, you have to be very diligent, but at the same time, you have to be gentle. Okay, that is very important, but that is difficult to do for beginners, right? But if you practice diligently, and practice as much diligently means here for Westerners, you practice as much as you can every single day. And then later things will be easier because your practice will become more stable. Your confidence will progress, right? And your mindfulness, your awareness will come naturally, right? Then you would love to meditate. Then actually you can't sort of separate it from yourself from meditation. But if you don't sort of cultivate anything now, when you have the opportunity, means you have time, you are capable, you have a teaching, you have a teacher. All of this means you have the opportunity. And with this kind of great opportunity, you don't cultivate anything, you will not develop anything. And then what? Just thinking about these worldly concerns every single day. Then, of course, your practice will be harder and harder, and your practice will be further and further from your daily life. Then eventually there is no positive attitude and sort of dharma, meditation, whatever you call it, activities. There's nothing in your life. Then you completely separate it. So that's not good. But by working through the range of changing circumstances, such as these eight worldly concerns, the mind will become more positive, means happier, and eventually you don't care much about these unwholesome sort of situations and worldly concerns, which is your mind become more free and open. But if you become attached to, to many things, you get more caught up in samsara, and then your mind will not be free. And that brings a lot of unhappiness into your life, daily life. That is the truth. So therefore, dharma practice is so important, even day-to-day life. And although when I think about the worldly concerns, myself, okay, I usually think when I teach to others, okay, you should not do this, you should avoid this, you should not do this and that, right? How about myself? So when we think about worldly concerns, it's difficult. And when I think about myself, about the worldly concerns, I'm able to ignore only two of them. Actually, I think I'm just fine with, not too concerned about fame and infamy. But the other six worldly concerns are very difficult to ignore or not attach to them, especially with the pleasure and pain, okay? Not to concern these two, it's beyond my capacity. It's almost impossible at this moment. That's me. But I think you should not worry too much about these worldly concerns and think that, I will not be able to practice the dharma because it's impossible to ignore these worldly concerns. And if you are not to ignore or not or attached to these worldly concerns, then this Dr. Johnson says that you are not a dharma, genuine, true dharma practitioner, right? That's, I think, it's possible. Many people would think I cannot be an authentic Dharma practitioner because I can't ignore all of this. Don't worry about that, okay? It's some way it's true, some way it's not true, okay? So practice Dharma is difficult, right? And but you should not think that, it's beyond my capacity, so I'm not going to even try to practice Dharma, because it's difficult to avoid, or purify, whatever, abandon this at worldly concern. You should not think like that, okay? If you think that, you are not going to develop anything. So you should not think like that. You should not lose your sort of optimistic and opportunity or potential, So you should not think like that, even though the teachings say that you should put aside your study, your contemplation, and your meditation that are motivated by the worldly concerns, right? And if you concern at worldly Dharma, you are not a Dharma practitioner. That's, I think, it's not for beginners, people who practice Buddhism, okay? But you should not think that, I'm a little bit worried that if we say at worldly concerns, if you cannot put this aside, and then you are not Dharma practitioner, okay, so then I can't practice Dharma. But there, you should think that I can't put this worldly concerns aside right now, but what else I can do? We all, for sure, um, very sort of much concern this worldly Dharma and attached to them, for sure. But we should investigate what else, how can I practice Dharma um, properly, even though I can't ignore all of this. I usually, as I said, myself, I cannot ignore and put aside all these worldly concerns. For sure. I'm attached to pleasure. I don't like pain, like sick. I can't ignore that. I don't like blame. I like somebody say nice to me. All of this, right? So do you, for sure. But then I think, what should I do, right? Good solution that makes me keep going, not lose my enthusiasm to practice Dharma, and helps me not, for my confidence, right? For my Dharma practice. The solution, that is, I try to practice less selfishness and less grasping, right? For example, when I feel happiness, I dedicate my happiness to others. That's not difficult, right? And when I'm pain, or I get sick, I think about others suffering through my feeling, my experience. That's not difficult, right? So that at least my attachment to pleasure and my fear of sort of pain are not totally worldly concerns, not totally useless. If you are happy, you dedicate that to others. If you are suffering, you also think about others suffering. So then actually it's good. So this kind of solution or practice is very helpful for me to not lose my encouragement, my inspiration of Dharma practice, right? So bottom line is, whatever you do, do it less sort of selfishness. So don't make your mind too narrow, meaning you should always think and investigate and find out the truth, right? And find out sort of different options and different methods. You can't do that, right? Because the Buddhist teachings have different meaning for different people. And there is always, you can find something that is very suitable and workable for your practice, for your life, and still you are a Dharma practitioner, right? So never think that, oh, I'm not authentic Dharma practitioner because I can't ignore the worldly concerns. So never think that according to this teaching, for example, Sakyataka Johnson says, even though like the Manjushri's instructions, if you're attached to this life alone, then you are not authentic Dharma practitioner. Of course, we are attached to this life, right? Don't think that, according to this teaching, there's no other options. So either like I had to completely give up the worldly concerns, or I had to, put myself that, like I'm not a Dharma practitioner, so I'm not going to practice. Not like that, right? There are so many options. Just to let you know that. Now, today, let me show you the root text. Okay. It says, Gomba jipi kanzakan, nyomo pomi imbo chen, tarlam jipi tsawachan, sanji jipi savanchan, Gomba la metamatatis. All those who practice meditation are endowed with the antidote for abandoning the afflictive emotions, the root for accomplishing the path to liberation, and the seed for attaining Buddhahood. Meditation then is indispensable. Now, this stanza is talking about the benefits of meditation, which is really good for us. And it is very important because it's the sort of direct antidote, right? The most, we're talking about how to abandon attachment, right? The most effective way to eliminate all these disturbing negative emotions, especially since we're talking here about how to eliminate attachment, right? So meditation is the antidote. The meditation is that, therefore, it's important. Therefore, in order to meditate, you need to know what is the benefit of meditation. That's always important. When you talk about, like, when you meditate bodhicitta, first you need to know what is the benefit of practice bodhicitta, right? So same thing. What is I would like to meditate, but what is the benefit? Of course, many of you know that the meditation it's important, but meditation is, well, what is meditation? Meditation is translated as gum in Tibetan, gum. It means to become accustomed to doing something, or during the meditation, the mind doesn't fall under the influence of thoughts or other mental activities, right? And meditation is, gum means like, also meditation is like similar to familiarization, because obstacles often arise, right? But you continue and familiarize yourself to meditating until it becomes easy and natural. So through familiarization, you are able to remain in the state of meditation. So to practice meditation means to familiarize yourself to meditation, right? The teachers say that if your mind is peaceful and happy in ordinary life, then all external things appear pleasant. And if your mind is disturbed and unhappy, all the external things seem unhappy and not right. It's really true. I mean, from my own experience. So that's why it's important. We need to keep our mind is peaceful as much as we can. But how? How do you keep your mind very peaceful everyday life? Without meditation, I think difficult. So therefore, the meditation is the root for developing that kind of capacity. And meditation is the essence of the path of spiritual practice. And meditation is, therefore reaching the path of liberation. So there is no doubt that you all know and you all agree that there is a great benefit of meditation, right? Otherwise, you don't want to waste time. You know that. You know the benefits of meditation. You all know that. But I'm not sure you have enough diligence and enthusiasm and how much you will meditate, how much make sort of time for your meditation, even though you know the benefits of meditation, right? Investigate yourself. Think about yourself. Do you know the benefits of meditation? Yes. So then, are you meditating? Like, how much you meditate every single day? Not much. So then you think, what's wrong? Why? Then you have to think why. Because you don't meditate a lot because you're busy or something else. So I am encouraging you to meditate more and contemplate on the benefit of meditation so that you feel like, oh, it's so great. I want to meditate, right? Think about your ordinary mind. Do you have your mind is peaceful in everyday life or not? If yes, no problem. You already achieved something, right? If not, then antidote. Then you have to concern like how much I should practice every day. If you think about the benefit of meditation, it will give you more sort of inspiration, right? So that you would like to meditate more and more. So meditation gives a clarity and direction. For that reason, here, Satchitopa Johnson encourages everyone to practice meditation and to do so with the correct view and correct motivation. Usually the intellectual knowledge is good, but it's not enough because it's not able to benefit yourself. Only sort of if you study, like intellectual knowledge, right? So everything, if you don't put them into your meditation, everything become like information. So meditation is so important. Because whatever spiritual qualities you may possess depends on the strength of your meditation practice. Uh, the thing is, what you must understand is that regardless of how much you may study, regardless of how much you may train sort of in discipline, if you do not sort of endeavor in meditation, um, you're not going to eliminate attachment. You're not going to discover your truth. The nature of reality can only be realized through the practice of meditation. You apply what you have learned from your experience of meditation in your everyday life. That's so important. But here, again, um, you have to understand that there are two possible sort of approaches to meditation. Remember last time we talked this superficial and the genuine, right? So now, what is the superficial practice? That is in the next stanza talks about the superficial meditation. Let me the next stanza. Okay. It says, Simdalamukpi Gombate, the meditator who practices for the sake of this life, Wembur Dachon Danzajan, find busyness even in solitude. Longtam Davi Katanjan, turn their recitation practice into meaningless talk. Tusum Hila Kurvajan, disparage those who truly study and contemplate. Gomba Yanlan Tagdokjan, jealous of other meditators. Rang Gomba Namyanjan, distract in their own meditation. Chubjich something sholasho, put aside this meditation of their worldly concern. Yep. Many practitioners have been so faced with this kind of situation. It is said that, even though such people may physically be in a great sort of peaceful place, yet still their mind may be all over, right? And they may have even more distraction than even before. You see, if we meditate while our minds are mixed with worldly life, then you think, then actually we are not meditating, right? If we meditate while motivated by worldly aims, our mind will do more than just continue to wander all over. When we meditate, we always follow this inner voice, right? Inner voice. And we will think of all sorts of sort of worldly things. That is not really what is meant by good meditation, right? Because it doesn't matter where you have a maybe great peaceful place, but your mind is not there. So it is important that the quality of your meditation should not suffer from mental distractions. For example, during sort of many of the prayers and mantras you may recite, your mind will remain sort of preoccupied with worldly life, with all of these sort of thoughts, then you will not receive any of the benefits of recitation, right? That's why I myself, like I practiced 5 times my preliminary 100,000 preliminary, 500,000 preliminary 5 times. First wasn't good, second wasn't good, third wasn't good, because all of, even though I finished the accumulations, saying the mantras, prayers, but there is no good visualizations, there is no good experience from the meditation. So that's what I mean, that if with all of this sort of thoughts, while you are practicing, the preliminaries, then you will not receive, right, the benefits of recitation. So here, for example, in my student, there are lots of people who finished their accumulations and prayers, mantras, preliminaries. You should think about it. And if you think your quality of the preliminary practice not so good, you may need to do it again, the second one. Why not? One day, not now. But that's why, just to like think about all this worldly thoughts and all of this, then you say blah 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 mantras and prayers. Not I don't really think there are lots of benefit, but that's why I just don't like give lots of prayers and recitation to my student. You have to do it like just preliminary practice. That's because of the lineage, and my teachers always concern that. But other than that, like I would like you to really focus on mindfulness, awareness, and compassion, bodhicitta. These meditations are like prayers and mantras. You sit and you say the mantras and you think you are meditating, right? But when you practice like mindfulness, bodhicitta, you will see the distractions. Then you feel, oh, I'm not meditating at all. You recognize right away like that. So there is a benefit, directly sort of from this meditation. So that's why it is saying here that put aside your worldly concerns when you meditate. Okay? That's why you can meditate short time, right? Short time a day, but you have tried to put aside all of these worldly thoughts. But we usually can't put them aside, right? The teaching is easy to understand. Oh, it says, when I meditate, put aside all of that. But we can't. Then what should we do? Then you have to think about your strategy, your method. Teachers say dividing your practice into proper meditation sessions. And if you are very beginner and you should practice very short time, but frequently. That is how your meditation should be done if you are very beginner, right? So you recite mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum mantras, and then you just try to focus on the visualization, and you can't, then you stop. Then you do it again, right? Just it says here, like put aside, don't continue to say the prayers and recite the mantras while you are thinking something else, like worldly life, so focus on your visualization, and then say recitations. And if you can't, then just stop. Do whatever you want. You don't have to just sit there hours and hours. That's why what I'm saying, you have to practice sort of dharma authentically, but also like be gentle with yourself. And if you do that, you will be comfortable with your practice, right? Not become sort of distract, not become also bored with your meditation. If you do this kind of like take in sort of proper meditation sessions, your mind will be very fresh. That's one thing. But also don't think like, I usually think that it's okay to have some random thoughts arise while you are meditating, especially for beginners. But I think it's not really good to have selfish motivation and you let it sort of arise while you're meditating. That's actually, I believe it means, here says Dr. Johnson says, put aside your worldly concerns. Means like really, whatever you meditate, don't sort of control and like dominated by the self-motivation, Other random thoughts, okay, but it's not okay, selfish motivation. So we must have a good motivation. And in order to have a good motivation, we need good understanding the meaning of whatever you are meditating. I think that is the key. That is the key point. Otherwise, we cannot stop, put aside all these random thoughts, but we have to pick important things, right? And I think if your meditation based on good motivation, your practice will grow stronger, even though you have all these other random thoughts. Because if you're practicing meditation with the benefit of others in your mind, then this motivation will produce the genuine sort of meditation that is free of distractions such as selfishness, right? Because you are thinking others instead of your selfishness. No matter how important meditation may be, if you meditate with attachment to your own happiness for this life alone, which is selfish, right? Selfishness will end up having your meditation become a cause for only worldly life, such as becoming sort of famous, wealthy, whatever, right? Then there is not much benefit from your meditation if you act with the selfish motivation. Remember, as I mentioned when I started the Shantadeva's quote from Bodhisattva Avatara, remember that. You have to remember whenever you meditate or listen teaching or whatever, right? It's so important. if your practice is afflicted with selfish concerns for this life and for yourself alone, that is not authentic dharma. So this is important. The real meaning of dharma is to have a good mind, okay, and a good heart. Means great motivation and great intention. With this attitude, everything should go well. Then don't worry about distractions and, difficult to control your mind and all of that. Don't worry about that. As the teachings say that your path depends on your motivation. Because when your motivation is clear, your path is clear. Means no confusion. If your motivation is dark, which is selfishness, your path will be the same. And when your motivation are in accord with teachings and you are doing your best, then even if others are sort of misunderstand you and say you are doing wrong or whatever, but everything is clear from your side. I think that is important. Okay? In this teaching, I can explain, okay, this is for beginners, this is for advanced, this teaching means different meaning to different people, all of that. But the bottom line is, don't worry about, like, if you can't put aside your inwardly concerns, don't worry about that. But one thing, as a Dharma practitioner, need to make sure that you have not sort of you don't create a bad motivation. And now this teaching, what has been written up to this point and what we have discussed up to this point is summarized in the Abhidharma Kosha. The Vasbandh said, right? The great master Vasbandh says, through possessing, studying, and contemplation based upon ethical discipline, one should thoroughly apply oneself to meditation. Okay? That is the stages of Buddhist meditation. So we have been discussed all of that at this point, okay? You should, that is the summarize. So all of these teachings we have been discussing are about the importance of developing the proper approach to ethical discipline, study, and meditation, okay? So we will be able to generate sort of genuine discipline, contemplation, and meditation so that our practice and meditation will be genuine and our life will be meaningful, right? So that's that. Now we are finished the first line of Manjushri instructions, okay? if you are, it says, right? Do you remember this? If you are attached to this life, you are not a true Dharma practitioner. Okay, so that you have to really make sure that you don't misunderstand about this line, okay? Otherwise, maybe if you are attached to this life, you are not a true Dharma practitioner. Maybe this is not for beginners. I'm not sure. You should investigate, okay? Find out the truth. What does this line mean to you? Not for everybody, okay? So you investigate. If you're attached to this life, you're not true Dharma practitioner, then what else? What other options? What else you can do? Or how do you like reduce maybe like attachment? All of that. You have the teachings, and now you investigate the teachings and try to put them into your daily life. And the general Buddhist teachings referred to in this first line are the teachings on the precious human life and as well as impermanence of life and all of that. Okay? But I taught so far, explain this line and then the way you meditate, a little bit different. But I'm not going to go into all these details of these teachings because you already know these teachings, right? The four, what they call it, four thoughts that change your mind and how to meditate. They're very well, right? These are very important. Through this sort of four thoughts that change your mind, through this, you can practice uh, genuine Dharma. So therefore, many of you um, are meditating on these teachings, right? Especially if you right now, like individual, like you practice preliminaries, as I said, always every day you have to contemplate at least for 20 minutes about these four thoughts that change your mind, right? So you already doing that. So that's why I don't have to explain and go into sort of all the details of these teachings because you already know. But generally, Buddhist teachings refer to this first line, how if you are attached to this life, you're not Dharma. So how do I reduce my attachment? Through practice through the precious human life, impermanence of life, death, and cause and karma, all of that. That's the instruction. But the way I give you some instructions a little bit different. So just go back and think about it. Always, I'm going to stop here today. We'll finish the first line. But now your turn, think about it, this teaching, and investigate. Especially we talk a lot about the worldly concerns. What does that mean to you? And how are you going to reduce these things? Or you think it's not necessary? Reduce all these things, but there's different way to practice genuine Dharma. You have to find that out, okay? Now, a few minutes for meditation. Next one, okay, that's the first line. So I'm going to stop here today. For meditation, as I mentioned many times, all the times actually, first you have to establish it and experiencing your motivation of bodhicitta, right? And recognizing this basic goodness of human being. That should be your motivation before you start. your meditation each and every day. That's very important. Based on this thing, if you experience in your motivation of bodhicitta and some kind of recognition of basic goodness of human being, then you become a very genuine Dharma practitioner, what I think, So that's very important. And with this good motivation, then you need to apply very simple discipline, okay? Because as long as we've been discussed about these things, discipline, all of that, right? So discipline means there is a different meaning, discipline, different meaning to different people. For beginners, I think we need very simple discipline, okay? Not even middle way. So very simple discipline is just to sit comfortably, okay? And breathe gently. How simple is that? So that's your discipline for beginners, okay? Because make your body and mind relax, your body relax, your mind open. This is the stages, right? When you start meditate, first this motivation, establish this motivation, and then second stage is your body, make your body relaxed, make sure your mind open. Maybe you need 1 second, maybe you need 1 minute, maybe you need 5 minutes in order to do that. That's very important. That's for beginners, very important. Otherwise, once you are relaxing, then gently watch your thoughts. When your thoughts arise, just watch them without judgment. Whether they are good thoughts or they are bad thoughts, whatever it is, just watch them, okay? Very gently, okay? That's your second stage. As you are aware of your first thought, then of course, the next thought will arise, right? And then just watch the next thought, which means you don't have to finish the first thought. I mean, you can't finish, then you follow your thoughts and then you're all over. You are not there. So just don't worry to finish the first thought. So whatever, let your thought arise naturally, kind of means don't create any sort of particular thought, or don't sort of try to stop your thought. I mean, it's already there, right? But just try to be nature, just watch them. If you are very beginner, I think these are very important. If you have thoughts, if you have thoughts, then just watch them and just try to be nature. Maybe you don't have any thoughts when you meditate. Maybe you have full of thoughts. Doesn't matter. Just watch them. If you don't have any thoughts, just aware of that. And breathe gently. If you have no thoughts, just just aware of that and don't look for something special. Okay, like sort of recognition or good experiences or etc. Just to be aware of whatever arises in your mind without judgment, without any kind of aim or goal. Okay, just to be present moment and be natural. Do you understand? That's all you need. Establish motivation, be gentle, and then watch your thoughts, be aware of that, and then just to try to relax and nothing else you need to do. Okay, let's do that for 5 minutes.